Right, this is what you're about to build. It's a Circus Wagon. It doesn't come with any chassis or wheel arrangements. That's up to you to supply. Although it will actually take a MECCANO base or MECCANO truck base. The actual dimensions are 150 millimeters long and it's 88 wide, and from the base to the actual roof is 80, and from this side to the top of the actual design is 100. So that's what you're going to build. It has a removable roof, so you can put your animals inside if you wish, and the roof positively locates so it won't come off. Made out of MDF, laser cut, very easy to construct, and the actual construction details follow this video. Right, this is for the construction of the Circus Wagon. It only consists of the top part, as the chassis is a pre-supplied MECCANO type chassis, so this is designed to sit on that chassis. Quite a few bits, very straightforward to make up. I'll run through the parts we've got here, and then we'll go through the order we put it together. It's quite important, otherwise we end up with bits not fitting. So we have the top part, which is the fancy design that goes on the roof. We've got 4 covers that will go on the ends when we get to it. 2 top braces that go across the top with the 2 ends. And then we've got 2 ends, they are identical. We've got 2 sides, which are also identical. Then we have the base. And then we have a roof. So we'll put those to one side. But we will be needing the sides and the ends in a moment. And then we have the bars, of which there will be 17 each side, so that's 34, but there's a couple of spares in there. That's those. So we'll just move those up out of the way. And then we have the bars that go on the ends. Again, you need 12 total, and there's a few spares in there. And then we have the supports for the bars at the ends, and we have supports for the bars on the sides. Again, there's 1 each spare in there because they're quite easy to break. And then we've got the sort of star shape, I call it sunburst, to go onto there. And then you've got the infills, those 2 to go onto the where it says B. And then you've got the little tiny sunbursts which go on the ends. And then you've got the little stars, of which you'll find that the big ones go on there and there on the ends. So that's 1, 2, and then the other end 3, 4. And then on the sides 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think I put 9 or 10 in there, so there's some spares. And then for the little stars, we put on the top part 1, 2, 3, 4. And that covers up where this part pokes through, so that's 4 little ones there. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 20 little ones. And I put in, I think, 22. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 22, 24, and there's some spares in there. And on the top pieces, the little stars at the end, you'll have to paint those in yourself. Right, so let's move on to construction. What I would recommend here is you'll need a small plastic bag, otherwise we end up sticking it to the board. So what we'll do is we'll do the small ones first, to give you an idea of how we go about doing it, and we'll come back to the side ones in a moment. So when you look at these, there's 2 sides to it. I'll bring it up so you can see what we're looking at. As you can see, there's a, where are we? There we are. Get the light right. There's a dirty one, which is the top one, and there's a clean one. Now the way the laser cuts has a slight taper. So the dirty side has got a slightly larger diameter, and the clean side is where the laser exits, that's slightly smaller. So when we're putting these together, we always put the clean side to the clean side. So if you do that with a pair, as I've done there, and put that to one side there. The next thing we'll need is a sheet of either cling film or a thin polythene bag, otherwise we will end up sticking things to the table. Right, so there's my polythene bag, which I'll just lay there. Now onto there, if you then take a side, side, that's an end, isn't it? You take an end and we turn it over. And the reason we're going to do this, I'll show you on one of these. The actual material we're using is 3mm thick, but the actual bit that holds the bar is bigger than 3mm. So we want a flush surface on here. So we lay it down so we can't see any writing. And then we take our set of bars or bar holders. Remember, we got clean to clean. And we drop those into there. And that'll be quite a nice fit in there. I'll just zoom in on that so you can see what we're looking at. Right, so having got those two face to face down the bottom, we then take the little bars and we feed them in to the holes. As I've done there. It's easier when you do it. I'm just trying to do this without looking, otherwise you'll get my head in the way. Right, so that's down to there. And then what we need to do is using just a general cocktail stick, of which I'm sure you'll have plenty of. We need to separate the two bars. We hold the bottom, two supports. We hold the bottom support, and then we can slide up the other one because the actual bars can't go anywhere. So we slide that up carefully on each side until we're at the top. Now, this push firmly down, the bottom support pulled towards that direction with your finger, and make sure it's sat down on the polythene. We then add a little bit of super glue just in the end there. Using a cocktail stick, make sure it's pushed firmly back and everything is pushed firmly down. And just run a little bit of super glue around that area there. Obviously you can see why we've got the polythene cheeks. If the glue goes through, we end up sticking all this to the board. And when you're happy that's holding, then add a little bit the other end. Again, make sure it's firmly pushed back in. And then run some along the bottom edge. Make sure that's firmly dry. And then with the top one, we do exactly the same thing, except this time we push it up away from us. And again, make sure it's pushed down firmly. A bit of glue at the top. This part isn't seen, so you can be quite mucky with the glue if you want. And when you're happy that that's in the right position, you add some glue to the other side. I'm using a runny cheapo super glue. And we run that to the end, give that time to go off. And if you lift it up and turn it over, you should have a nice smooth surface there with the bars in position. We then go ahead and repeat that on the next one to it. So again, make sure the clean edges go together. Drop them into the slot. Take your small bars, insert them in. Again, clean cocktail stick with no glue on. I don't know which end I'm using here. We'll give it that one. Hold one end and gently slide The other one up to the top. Bottom one, make sure it's pushed down firmly this way and down onto the plastic sheet underneath. And again, we repeat the process, adding some glue. Make sure that's gone off all right. Adding some at this end. And then just run the glue along the bottom. And repeat for the top. Again, make sure it's pushed up firmly against the inside edge. It's square. About 5-10 seconds to go off. Turn them over, double check. Everything's good. Now, it's up to you whether you actually glue the bars in or you leave them to wander around. If you're going to glue them in, then you need to do it from the back so you don't see the glue, and just put a little spot of glue into each bar where it drops down into the hole. Now I'll go ahead and do that so you can see what we're doing. So a bit of super glue, back of the bar, next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. And then if you turn it upside down and do the tops, again we do this on the inside so you don't see the glue, or just don't do it. It's not necessary. So there we have it. Now I'll go ahead and do the other end. When you come back, I'll have done both ends. Right, you've now come back and I've now done both sides, or both ends should I say. So that's them in position. So we now move on to doing the sides, and we use exactly the same principle. So we take a side and we turn it over, lay it onto the polythene sheet. Then we take two long holders. Again, you can see we have a dirty side and a clean side. We put the two clean sides together and we drop them into the bottom. Now this one's a little bit more finicky. I'll just zoom back a bit, I think, so I've gone the wrong way. That's better. Right, because there's a lot more of them to do. So there's 17 to do now. So just gently hold it in position, and using the longer ones, just start to put in and work your way along. Try and keep them as upright as possible, because that will help in the end of when you're sliding up the one to go to the top. Right, so that's all those in now. Now this is the crucial bit. You've got to hold the bottom one and just put a cocktail stick in and start to move the top one up gently. No rush, just take your time. You have to straighten up some of these as we go. I'm obviously holding the bottom one. Don't forget, we've got to put this piece so you don't see any writing. Right, that's to the top. This one's to the bottom. Now these pieces may have a slight bow in them that way. So it's important that we do this bit by bit from one end working along. So we want to make sure it's forced down towards me, pushing down on this piece, and that part there is actually pushed down as well. So it's all quite snugly in there. And we take a bit of glue, exactly the same as we did before, but only just do the corner for the moment. And then make sure it is pushed down into that corner. And just sit there for a few seconds. So I think, as you can see, this end we've got a slight gap. So this is where we've got to work our way along. So if we're happy with that, if you come along 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say 6, again, make sure the base is pushed down, the holder is pushed into that way and is down. And just add a bit of glue at the back, let it soak in. Again, hold it in position. And then while you're holding that, just run some more super glue along this edge. Again, make sure it's pushed down firmly and held in position. And when you're happy, move along, say another 6. Again, we don't want that effect, we want that effect. Okay, when you're happy that's actually glued in position, we come to the very end. This time I would pull it in and just put some on the end first. We end up gluing our finger to it, pull back and push down. And then when you're happy that's glued, finger off and run along the underside. Then we repeat exactly the same at the top. So again, push down, that's pushed in that direction. Add your glue. I'm getting short with my super glue, so I just get some more out. Again, work along about 6, push back and down. Work along. Again, make sure it's pushed up firmly. And another 6 maybe. Push down and down. And wait. And we go to the far end and make sure that end is pulled up tight. And we just do the corner again. Give that glue time to set. You can also do this with a PVA glue, but super glue is far much quicker. Although it doesn't give you any chances to rectify any mistakes. And then just run down the top. Give it a couple of minutes to go off. See a bit of super glue came through there, and there we have our bars put on that side. Again, you can use the same processes on the ends and just put some super glue down there and down there just to lock the bars in, but I don't think that's necessary. Right, I'll go ahead and do the other side now, and when you come back I'll have done both sides. Well, the next part we're going to add is the little bit of the detail. So we're going to add the surrounds that go around the end windows. So that's these here. And for this I'm going to use a PVA glue. So it gives me a chance to move things around. It's fairly obvious, I think, where they're going to go. Again, you've got a dirty side and a clean side. We want to see the dirty side facing out. And they literally drop into the engravings that's already there. So to do this, I use a bit of white PVA glue. I'm just going to put a little drop in each corner. Also, you don't have to fit this part. And then just drag it around a little bit. And whoops. And drop him on the right way around. And just square it up so it looks right. A bit of super glue on there, right? And so it looks right. And then when you're happy, do the next one. And put that to one side. If you get any glue showing through, then just with the cocktail stick, just rub it out the way. Beauty of PVA is when it does dry, it dries clear. So that does that one. Now we're going to do the other end. So there we go. And just get rid of that. So that's those two. The next thing we're going to add is the little stars. You see there's two sizes, large and small. So we get two large ones ready. Now to do this, I found a knife blade. Seems to do the trick. To put these on, what we do is take a little bit of PVA. I'm going to do the big one first, just a little dollop in the middle. And then if you take your knife and just push it in, so you're actually holding it, and then line it up with the engravings that's there, and just gently push down. And then because it's a PVA, you can maneuver it around until it lines up with the marks. And do the same with the other side. Just maneuver it around. So that's gone in. And then we're going to do the smaller ones. So if we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, you'll notice on these we've got a dirty side and a clean side. We want to put them on so we see the dirty side. So I just put a small amount of PVA there. Same process. pick him up, line him up, and push him down. Okay, manoeuvre him around until he's nicely sat into the engraving underneath. May be beneficial to paint these parts before you glue them on. Right, so that completes that end. We then have to repeat the process on the next end. Right, so that's the two ends done. So we can put them to one side. And now we can do the sides. And the sides are exactly the same in there. So we want 2 and 4 little ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 little ones. That completes that part of the detail. So now we can go on and start to assemble the actual wagon itself. So bring the other parts back in. So we've got 2 sides, 2 ends, a base and a top. We don't need the top for the moment. I'll just zoom back out a little bit so you can see what we're doing. Wrong way. Right, that's better. So starting with the base, we can add in a side. It's fairly obvious how it goes in. I clip onto the little clips there and do the same for the other side. Again, it locates into the bottom slots as I've done there. And then we add the ends, which again will fit in and fit in on the top as well. And then we do the other end. Again, that will pick up on the various notches. And then we can hold that together in the elastic band. Go around the top. I'll just hold the top in. And if you turn him over upside down, then add another one around the bottom. Just roll them up so they're pretty even all the way around. So now we can actually glue that into position. So I would start on the bottom, make sure it's pushed in from both sides and from both ends and from the sides. Again, using our super glue. And a suitable cocktail stick. So I'm just going to grab a new one. What we're going to do is just run some glue all along those edges there. So first thing is into the corner. If you do the corners first, just make sure it's all pushed in firmly. Then we can sort of add a little bit halfway along. And again, halfway to the halfway. Being a nice runny glue, it will wick up into the joints. Again, make sure that's all pushed in firmly. And then when you're happy that's dry, we can turn it over. And now we want to just do the top surfaces. So for here, we just want to put a little bit into each corner. I'm going to get my glue ready. Don't want too much here, just enough to hold the parts together. And if you do it about 5mm down, just into the corner, leave the top clear, because the actual top of this wagon drops down inside. So if we do that on each corner, and then halfway down in each corner, again make sure it's pulled together firmly, and then we can put that to one side to dry. That then allows us to move on to the actual roof itself. Very straightforward. We add the little pieces at the very end. So the first thing to do is the two sides and the cross piece. Fairly sensible, or fairly easy the way it goes. Those parts face outwards, so they go in to the slots as I've done there. Obviously this one on the other side. But you've also got to put these in at the same time. So it's a bit finicky. You sort of want to lift it up, drop them in to the slot, and then slot the whole thing down at once. So again, do that at the other end. Put the brace into the end piece and then drop it down. And then we come to the other side again, making sure it faces out. Just lift him a touch into the end. I'll do the same with this one. And then just push the whole thing down. And that will sit down nice and neat. Now we don't want to get any glue on this surface here. So what we need to do now is just turn him over, while keeping pressure on the middle and the ends. We just want to run some glue in where the tangs show through. And that will wick up inside and locate them. If we do one end first, and turn them around and do exactly the same the other end, making sure everything is pushed firmly in, so everything is flush. We do the same here. And then let that dry off. What you can do is with a tissue, just wipe any excess off. Keep the tissue moving, otherwise you'll end up gluing it to it. Right, so that's the roof part done. Now we can add the details to the side, which again is very straightforward. We use the PVA glue. Start off by putting the big one on. You can see where that lines up. We'll just add a bit of PVA glue there. Again, don't want much, just a couple of blobs. Like before, if you're going to paint it, maybe best to paint these parts first. Drop him on. It's fairly obvious how it all lines up. And then where it says B, we have the extra small piece here. Again, just a little bit of glue either side of the B. Drop him on. And line him up. That's that part done. And now we've got the little ones to do at the end, which looks like half a gear teeth. Small blob. Load him in. And line it up with the engraving that's there. Do the other end. Don't want too much glue. I've probably got too much on there now. Yep, far too much. But I can take it off with the chops with a cocktail stick. Just clean it up a bit. That's those parts done. And then we have to add some little tiny ones to cover up where the brace comes through. So we use the same process as we did when we were doing the other parts on the side. A little bit of glue. And using the knife, pick up the part you're going to put in, line it up, do the same with the other one. Check they're lined up, not far off. That completes that side. And then we do exactly the same on the other side. That completes the roof. Now what you can do is bring the main carcass back in. The super glue would have gone off now, so you can now remove the elastic bands. And you'll find that the actual roof will drop in. And there you have your circus wagon. It doesn't show up very well because of the lighting. So I'll just move the lighting a little bit, so we have a better view. Right, there we go. So there's your circus wagon. You have to add your own chassis to it. The top will come off if you turn it upside down. It just slots in, so you can put your animals inside if you want to. So that's it. That's the complete item. Hope you enjoyed making it. Thank you very much.